Clip clop,
What?
clip clop, clip clop.
What?
I
What?
clip clop. I'm riding through a sylvan English glade in the late Middle Ages. Partly
What?
because people are. Oh, can you hear me?
What?
What? We are frequently asked about knights in armour, knights of old, occasionally knights in white satin. So this week we're going to explore the knight. Today we're going to talk about what it's like to be a knight. You're a knight of some sort in your rusty old helmet.
Yeah. Oh,
if you'll
I'm
pardon
gonna
that.
climb out of my helmet. Knights are fantastic. Knights are brave. Must go and meet knights. Must go and become a knight. So Ed, what would you say to anyone who wants to get back to the Middle Ages and join the knightly crew?
Middle Ages is a long time. Knights in Britain appear in the 11th century, 1066. They go, well, all the way through to now. But not everybody, a lot of people seem to have an idea a knight is a man in armour, a warrior man. And there are periods where that's true. That's how knighthood starts off. You've got an obligation to have armour, which is very expensive. So you're given a load of land, you spend the money from that land buying arms and armour. But by the late Middle Ages, it becomes a gentleman. It loses its sort of military role, or not entirely, but largely. So it's when do you want to be a knight from? Do you want to be a roughy-tufty Norman knight in a tournament where people get killed, or do you want to be a nice late medieval knight watching other people fight a tournament and go, oh, you're all doing very, very, very well. What do you want to be?
Oh, I think I'd go to the end of the Middle Ages, and when everything is chivalrous and neat and tidy and covered in satin, I want to go down that way. Nothing brutish.
No, are you sure? All of those military titles like knight and esquire used to be, or a valet, people that used to look after the knight's armour and sort of help him in battle. By the end of the Middle Ages, you're becoming just sort of part of a sort of gentry household. And you may not even be that rich. There are poor knights. Do you want to be a poor knight or a rich knight? What kind of knight?
No.
What kind of knightiness are you going for, Mark?
I think we'll have to drop back a little bit, because I think I do want a little bit of glory, but I'm also a little bit worried about being the knight myself. So if I turn up, I mean, you know, both you and I are not very keen on the battle-y bit, so I'm more keen on ingratiating myself with a knight and becoming his great friend, and therefore being given nice things by him. So I need that sort of knight that is bold and ready to go into battle and do wonderful things, and I get to watch.
Oh, I see. Well, by the late Middle Ages, you might well get a knight who just pays other people to go into battle. So you might get a knight who's a sort of rather fat, useless lord, and you could sort of turn up and just hang around his house a bit. Would that do?
Well, you see, I was going to turn up with my longbow. You see, stand next to him, and as you've often pointed out, lots and lots of arrows like this for going hunting, big and pointy and nasty. But what I was going to do is show a little bit of technology and go, hello, Your Honour, I've got a quiver full of these. Can you see that, Ed? Great long points.
Yeah.
Big long points. And he'll be very impressed, because this is a long bodkin, and this is one of the few things that will make a hole in our helmets. It's nasty, nasty arrow. And so I can say, I'll help you, Your Honour. I'm a good longbowman. Give me money. I can shoot bad knights for you. What do you think to that?
Well, I think that's a laudable thing to want to do. The problem is bodkin arrows have been around for many, many, many centuries. Mark, when did you start training to be an archer?
Oh, what day is it today? About 2 days ago.
Okay. Right, because you should really start at the age of 7. That's not 7 o'clock. That's 7 years old.
Right.
And Mark, what poundage? What is the draw weight of your longbow?
I've tried lifting bags of sugar. I can do 3. Is that good?
Well, 3 pounds?
Yes.
It is. I mean, one of the most impressive things in the last few years have been people have started to shoot war bows again, and they've been learning for long enough. They've been, people now have been shooting them 20 years. And wow, it made me reappraise everything I thought about medieval warfare. Deeply, deeply impressive. I'm afraid you turning up with a sort of a spindly bow and a couple of hours going, I got this. But then again, you do get muster rolls, particularly in the 16th century, the very end of the sort of knightly period in a way, where people do just turn up with sort of broken bow, couple of arrows, so you might fit into that world rather well. But I don't think you're going to ingratiate yourself with any knight, I'm afraid.
How about, I've got a better idea then, okay? When it comes to after battle joy and there's all that partying and enjoying yourself in the great hall, drinking and things. Now you see, what most people expect is for your knight to be drinking out of big goblets like this, which I'm afraid have been made more famous by a very recent multi-part fantasy series. In fact, that's where this one came from. Not necessarily what's going to make your knight happy. What's going to make your knight really happy is if I turn up with a small case of glasses from Venice. He's going to like me then, isn't he? Because it's full of wine and everyone can see.
That's probably much better, but I'm slightly alarmed that I can't think what fantasy-based pewter series you've been looking at. That's quite alarming. Yeah, I think taking something like that, a trade good that's valuable, because it's part of being a knight is you have valuable things, and you can show them off. But again, it's this idea of a sort of we're knights having a feast. I've ranted about this before, but the world of a medieval knight is like the world of a Tudor king. It's very controlled. So the knight's day-to-day duties will involve getting up, praying, doing some accountancy, having something to eat, praying, looking at the business of his estates, eating, praying. He might have 5 minutes off and then he goes to bed. Something like that. It's not a world of, I'm a warrior feasting. Well, obviously there's moments of that. You can see sometimes why they went away to war. I think the thing that would make it difficult for thee and me to fit into the knightly world is often these people are very young. There are kings who lead armies to battle at the age of 16 and everyone thinks that's great. Very, very often knights in armour, you've got to be fit. You do get older people going to tournaments and things, but we're going to be rather elderly. I think we would have to be elderly, mysterious advisors.
I've had a better idea then. Obviously, my wonderful medieval Venetian glass that I managed to pick up in 15th century Venice is going to sway some of the older knights. But I've decided I've got the one thing that's going to get your younger knight. I'm going to stay as a trader, but I'm going to walk into his knightly hall with that. That is a large block of Persian sugar. So what young knight isn't going to want that?
Well, exactly. Oh, gosh. And what would they do with it? What would it go in?
Anything he likes. I don't care. If it makes him my friend, he's going to get his cooks to scrape it onto tarts. He's going to scrape it into sauces. He can lick it for all I care. If it makes him my knightly friend, he can have all the sugar he wants. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to make my way to medieval Persia, pick up the sugar, come back, go to medieval Britain. So I've just got to work out the details so far.
Oh, you can get it in the Middle East. I don't think you've got to go all the way to Persia.
Ah, well, if you
so easy, really. You know, a little trip across the Med on a little sort of cob or something, and hi, got any sugar? I want to get you in the 12th, 13th century. I want you to be a knight, and I want when the Earl Marshal turns up and says, "You're all coming to a tournament," you've got to go. And a tournament in that period isn't a sort of nice, polite contest of people going clinkety, 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 thump. Oh, you've knocked my lance in two. A tournament in that period, people die, and you can have foot soldiers. And the point is not really to kill anyone, but to capture them. So I want to know, say it's 1190 and you're at a foot tournament. What are you going to do?
Hide.
Good.
Put my lid back on and hide. Yeah. And hope that nobody thumps me.
So you'll be scurrying around with a box of Venetian glass and a sugar loaf with a tin hat on.
Yes.
Going, don't hit me. Have some of that. Lick that.
That's probably going to be my go-to. What about you then, Ed? What are you going to be doing?
Or in a tournament like that, I would heroically capture very valuable knights and ransom them and make my fortune from my role in tournaments and gain honour and be given loads of estates and build a big castle and betray the king and get hanged, drawn and quartered.
Oh, well, you know what is going to happen, Ed? We're going to
Yeah.
get our wires crossed and you're going to capture me. And that's
Yeah.
not going to work out very well at all, is it?
That'd be bad.
Oh, well,
So,
whatever tournament you end up in, you've got to be really careful that you don't meet me or Ed. Bye, time
Yes.
travellers.